I'd spent a good part of my life being very hesitant about doing anything bold. Just kind of get in and follow the program. And then all of a sudden found myself kind of late 30s going, I don't know if this is what's good for us. Are we happy with where we're at as a family? Like how much time we actually get to spend with our kids, and what could we do to make that different?
We just needed to kind of pull everything back. And say this life is no longer sustainable for us. And so once we decided that we're going to do the crazy thing, we took our kids and we said, how would you feel if we completely changed our lives?
Welcome to another episode of the Raising Humans Project, and we are so honoured and excited to have some very good friends of ours with us today. We've been friends with these guys since we first moved over to Australia, so nearly 15 years, and they are the hosts of a super successful homesteading channel, the Rustic Spirits Homestead, and they were a couple that motivated us and encouraged us to get into this podcasting world as well. And we're really excited to speak to them today on the subject of kind of big life changes as a family, because they weren't always homesteaders. In fact, when we first met these guys, they were complete city slickers. We all lived in a reasonably big city here in Australia, in the suburbs. Our kids went to a big private school together. We went to a big church together. That's where we first met. And that's how we kind of grew our friendship. And Regan actually worked for us in our offices for a time. And then one day he came to us and said, we're moving to a farm. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I just wanted to set the scene a little bit and now introduce you all, I should say, to Kirsty and Regan Perry. So why don't you guys just take a minute and tell us about yourself, your family, and let's fast forward to the end super quick and tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel, because in the homesteading world, you're kind of a big deal, which I love. I'm very proud of you guys.
I don't know that we're a big deal.
No, but here in Australia, it's kind of new thing. Like in the States, it's massive. Okay, but here in Australia, the idea of homesteading, or at least going out country and starting with nothing and going off grid, is a new thing.
Yeah, and you guys
so
have done
you're
it really
big
well.
and big from that point of view.
Yeah.
And you're growing all the time.
We are.
So, all right, we'll fast forward through and I'm sure we'll kind of backtrack to some of it.
But very much backtrack.
Where we are right now is we are on 150 acres out sort of west of the Great Dividing Range, so in the Darling Downs area. And the idea was, and kind of the dream was for a long time as well, to take people on the journey with us in a digital sense. And so we had kind of got into this realm of homesteading maybe 10 or 15 years ago, around about when or probably just after we met you guys, and just kind of dipped our toes in it a little bit. And they say it's a slippery slope.
It's a black hole.
But yeah, the goal was always that if we were to ever do this kind of full time, we would document the journey and put it on YouTube, because that's where a lot of our inspiration came from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember when we were actually at your house and you said, hey, we've bought this piece of land.
That's 10 years ago next month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just you're like saying, oh, it's not much. It's a sandy patch in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, oh yeah, this is a big deal. And at the time, you were working for us. So you were working a corporate job in in a digital agency.
Yep.
Completely different.
Totally.
And we were. But you had already caught the bug before that, though.
Yeah, and probably not in the way that you would think, because the idea to start out with was not to go full on. Like we bought that block of land thinking we would never move on to it. It was purely just like an investment idea. It was kind of, we went into it with Kirsty's parents. It was maybe a space we could set them up in their retirement years, but it was never really our number one goal.
We called it our Plan Z.
Z for
which
zombie.
is ironic.
Yeah.
Like we never really saw ourselves out there, but the whole idea of kind of looking into those kind of self-sufficiency, sustainability ideas and ethos, probably started quite a while before that. Hey.
Yeah, well, as many of you will know, working in a corporate job, living a very busy life, having 3 children, doing the private school thing, doing the big life thing, there is an element of that is not sustainable for our nervous systems, for our bodies, for, it's taxing, it's tiring. And so that for us was a bit of the trigger point, and we've worked this journey together, but it takes a certain point in your life when you go, I can't continue doing this anymore. What do I really want out of life? Do I have to wait for my children to be older in order to live out my dreams? Or can we completely change our lives and take our kids on that journey with us? And that was a conversation we had for about a year, being very unwell, being quite mentally unwell. It takes a nervous breakdown to sometimes really make you evaluate what's important in your life. And so once we decided that we're going to do the crazy thing, we took our kids and we said, how would you feel if we completely changed our lives? And we had a whiteboard in the lounge room, and it was we gave it 3 months. And whenever they had a pro or a con, they could go and write it on the whiteboard. So it wasn't a quick decision by any means, but it was definitely a decision that I would say saved our family.
So was that about moving to the farm or moving out to the homestead? Because it's a 2-part series almost.
Well, and then there's the homeschooling conversation in all of that. Private schooling, even just the schooling system, like Regan does have a teaching background. So one of the big trigger points was our eldest son, Noah. He's now 22. We discovered it was actually your daughter that was the one that broke the news to us, because she'd been defending him at school for years. And we had no idea that he was being so significantly bullied that it was really, it's actually a miracle that Noah's still with us. That's the journey that we went on. And so we're just like, we're paying for a private school. Like, this doesn't happen in private schools. And that's not true at all. And so the homeschooling conversation was the one that came first. And we had to do that in order to save our family, save ourselves, save our children. We just needed to kind of pull everything back and say, this life is no longer sustainable for us. We need to band together and we need to reevaluate everything.
It was also born out of a place of realising, like, that was probably one catalyst moment, but we had outsourced a lot of our parenting, and so we had been in people work for years, like even before I worked for you, Pete. Like, we kind of been in that church world and education world and that, and very giving to people, and went through proper burnout at the end of that. Like, so in that space is where you just kind of like weigh up everything and go, like you said, what do I really want out of life? And then realising that we'd kind of handed our kids to, various, like, school and
well-intentioned.
And kids ministry and all of these great places that are great places, but at the same time, because we were like just so hyper-focused and like we work like a lot, we kind of pick a project and then give everything to it. And then to just be able to step back, or not be able to, kind of have to step back, ask the question, like, are we happy with where we're at as a family? Like, how much time we actually get to spend with our kids, and what could we do to make that different? And so, we were both working, like, career focused, and we went, well, what would it look like if... So the homesteading thing wasn't even, like, it was just something that was inspiration. We were taking little bits and pieces of it, like just, nutrition and learning about, kind of how to grow your own food. Like, we had these tiny little gardens in this tiny little suburban place that we lived on. And that was, some of that just started as part of a mental health journey, just to kind of do something grounded. But it all started to kind of coalesce together into this picture that probably did start with how do we actually want to shape our lives? And what do we see our family as? They're big questions.
It was that realization that I will always remember when we were all together with our kids, and you said, we're not parents. We are not actually parenting our children. We are facilitating their existence. They were fed, they were clothed, they were loved. Don't get me wrong. Like, we had some rad times. But for me, it was that I was doing it mindlessly.
Yeah.
And that's not what I wanted.
Okay, this is going to be a bit of a hard question. Do you feel like at that stage in life, your identity was wrapped up in a lot of that stuff in terms of like the career and all of the stuff, the pressure that was there that eventually led to burnout? For some people, like I guess there is that side of it where we like Shree and I, we're in business and we do a lot of stuff, but the thing is I think it kind of depends on like what is it that you're passionate about, and I think was that something for you that maybe what you were working on there just wasn't fulfillment in what you were doing?
I think there just wasn't. We weren't taking the time to kind of work out who we were. So yeah, it's an identity thing, and like creating a vision for who our family was. We talked to our kids recently. We did a podcast with our kids recently over on our podcast channel, and we asked and got some really surprising answers back out of them, to be honest with you, because we thought, we have done some big crazy things that, like not a lot of parents, will do, not a lot of families will do, like just move out to the country or just decide to homeschool your kids, like big crazy
and that's
ideas.
okay. That's okay that they don't do that. Like, we're crazy.
and that was kind of the thing. We sat with the kids and said, how do you feel like reflecting on that as adults now? Was that, did we go too far with some of that stuff? Was that just about us? Was it about being a family? I think it was, we had to figure out who we actually were,
and who we wanted to be.
Yeah. We were just in this space where we were just kind of giving of all of our time, which is a great thing to do if you can do it in a sustainable and healthy, balanced way.
Yeah.
And even the career thing, like it might have been fine that we were both, totally career focused or whatever, but it actually wasn't who we were. We had never taken that time to kind of step back and go, who is our family? Like, how would we write kind of a family statement, like a little mission statement or a culture statement about who our family is and what we want to achieve? We'd just never done anything like that before. And we just needed to kind of like hit the eject button for a minute and go, put everything on pause. Let's just kind of put first things first, and realized we were kind of weird, but we were trying to do like the thing you do. We were just doing the thing you do without ever going, is that who we are? So it's a good question, because once we answered that question, it was like, oh, we're a bit different, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pulling the kids out of school and homeschooling was probably the first step for you guys of going, we might be doing this, we want to do this a bit more intentionally, and we want to look at doing this a way that suits our family rather than trying to fit our family into the expectations and molds expected of us. So you pulled the kids out of school. I agree, Regan, looking back on it, that time where you got right into your gardening and propagating seeds. And I remember at one point we moved in, we were in between houses, and we came and lived with you guys for I think a month or two, and you got a couple of goats. And as a friend, it was like just a time for you to slow down and heal a bit. And you too, Kirsty, but I think the major sort of actually I laugh because Kirsty always used to pay me out for how many animals I had, and I always wanted another dog and another cat. I'm very responsible about it, but she was like, I hate animals, I'd never have animals. And now of course I think you've had just about every farm animal under the sun, so that's our little private joke.
Well, I was too busy for it.
But looking at that time, you both got very intentional, you with the kids and homeschooling, and Regan, you in learning how to grow things, and I think at the same time you were healing and growing yourself. I
would say what we learned the most in that period of time was the boundaries around our own personhood. Because we had grown up in environments that celebrated being boundaryless, because they could just take until you had nothing left to give. And it's not necessarily anybody's fault. It's just the way that it happened for us. And we didn't have boundaries. Therefore, there was no ability to be able to go, hey, stop, I'm not okay, until it was almost too late. So I think for us, the intentionality with it came understanding, came clarity, and the strength to be able to say no.
Yeah.
That's not for us. So the ability to say that is for us and that's not for us and that's okay.
Yeah.
And what a great lesson for your kids, for you to be able to model for them as well.
Mm.
So tell me about the decision to move out to the farm, because you didn't just wake up one day and go, we're going to start a YouTube channel about homesteading.
Yeah.
It sort of came, we talked about in a couple of parts to the series.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you had an
kind of
opportunity to move out to a managed farm, which was like a tourist spot as well. So talk a little bit about that journey, and how did your kids feel? Because I know, you know, Alia and Hannah are still to this day best friends. They were very close there, and I know Hannah was gutted. She was devastated that her bestie, I mean, you only moved an hour away from where we were, not even 45 minutes. But how did the kids react to, you talk about the whiteboard, was that at that point, or was it later with the homestead?
That was the homeschooling.
That
was the homeschooling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once the homeschooling, so we homeschooled for about 2 years.
Well, we did distance ed first, so we kind of eased them into it, you know, so that's very structured, you know, online classes, there's set
you
times.
You have a curriculum you're following.
And you're part of a cohort, there's other students, there's chat, there's an actual teacher. That was just because, Alia was very much like against the idea, like she's our little academic.
Yeah.
You know, the boys were just like, sweet, we're going to get to go to movie world whenever we want. But
I mean, the bonus was that you guys decided to homeschool and distance ed your kids at the same time. So we had this rad little, like, they were good times.
Yeah.
A little crew.
I think
they
it
were
was
really good times.
Yeah, I think it's because that little crew of kids together, they're still super close to this day. But it was that we're all doing it together was the catalyst to sort of say, okay, we can do this.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because our kids weren't being ripped away from their friends. It was a new adventure that all of them were embarking on together, and for different reasons, but we made it work, you know, for ourselves. So the homeschool thing was a year in the city, and then we moved a year later to the hinterland, and that the place where we got the goats. And it really, like, this slippery slope happened.
Yeah.
And that was when we bought the property that we live on now. We bought that 10 years ago thinking, like, we're into this fully, but, like, you know, that's for the future. Yeah. And I remember we were there one day, we'd had this rural camping experience at this campground. And I said to Regan, when we build this place, I want it to be like that.
Yeah.
And then the week later, the job came up to be the on-site managers there, and we went, well, we could just move there and learn how to be farmers there. And that was like,
yeah,
hop, skip and a jump, and that's what we were doing.
It's so funny though. I remember that conversation you told us, because Regan was working for me at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you sure you want to do that? You know, like, are you sure you want to move out and be a farmer?
Yeah.
But in hindsight, it was all the training you need to do the things you're doing now.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah. And I wasn't sure. And I think that's why we did it. And, you know, I'd spent a good part of my life being very hesitant about doing anything bold. Just kind of get in and follow the program, you know, like do school, go to grade 12, you know, go to uni, do the extra studies, follow a career path. And then all of a sudden found myself kind of late 30s going, I don't know if this is what's good for us.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people joked at that time in my life, he's having a midlife crisis. And I joked as well, haha. And now I look back and go, no, it was actually the middle of my life, and we were in crisis going, we don't know what we want. And so for me, I had to know if that was it, because, we were doing we had the chickens and had the goats, and then we had a little Instagram channel going. We're like, this is actually really cool. And it was satisfying, that teaching itch in me. And like, then Kirsty was pursuing this whole journey of, like, you know, eating raw food and like getting, you know, right into nutrition, and then like spending heaps of time together as a family. We're like, what would that look like if we actually just went, you know, just kind of pull the ripcord and jump sort of thing. And it was like, I remember you talking to me about that decision, and I'm like, I don't want to say to you, but no, I don't know if this is a good idea, but I have to find out.
Yeah,
for sure. And it was funny though, because once you had been there for a while, and you sort of started like, I'm thinking about doing this and that with like filming and YouTube, and sort of starting to do spots. I'm like, do it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Peter's Regan's number one, and Kirsty.
I'm a super fan.
It's both of your channels, right? But Peter is the original super fan.
What was I going to say? I think we became truly ourselves there. And therefore, we gave our kids the space to become truly themselves. For our family, like, this is our story, and so these are our truths. It's not necessarily like, just because I'm saying this doesn't mean I'm making anybody else feel like this. But for our family and our specific set of circumstances, having the space to just sink right into becoming who we were always meant to be, then we parented differently and way differently than we would have if we were still in the city. And we were still wrapped up in, you know, all of our identity crises and things like that, because it gave us the ability to raise our kids to be allowed to be who they were always meant to be. Do you know what I mean? It was just space to be like, you could do this or you could do that, or you could be a graphic designer, or you could, you know, be a fashion designer. Alia has tried so many different things until she's now solidified the fact that she is a farm girl and she will always be a farm girl. And she was the one that was the hardest to parent through those years because we took her away from her friends and we took her away from the city. But I remember saying to Regan, this is really hard, but I know it's right. And it's that, we were reflecting on this the other day as well, it's that knowing as a parent and that I'm not there to be their friend or to necessarily make it comfortable for them. I just knew that they would reflect on this when they were adults, and I thought it would take till they were like 30 and had their own kids, you know. They're going to reflect on this and be so grateful that we did this. But in the moment, it was the hardest thing.
And I definitely knew, because in my teenage years, that was my story. My parents moved us away. We were living in Auckland. We moved to like nowhere, like little country town, to become kiwi fruit farmers. There was like nobody there. So, but I knew what that experience was like as an early teen, and then to get to the end of my teenage years and go, I can't wait to get back to the city and that, and then to find myself in my 20s and that in the city going, this is not for me. You know, but then kids came along and career came along and all of that, and just kind of ignored all of that for a decade. And then reflecting on that, when we got that opportunity came up. And so to put it in context, the opportunity was we were both back to working full time. Like, that farm was both of us, big full-time hours, but it was also an opportunity to really take our kids along for the ride and integrate them into that and get them involved in it, like really hands-on, to integrate all of their homeschooling activities into that, eventually be able to offer them employment there and that as well. But I knew, because reflecting back on my own teenage years and going, that was some of the best times, like some of the closest friendships, like some of the like most out there experiences. And so we were like, I also knew that it was going to be hard on them. Like, I know what that journey is, to like get kind of, you know, ejected out of the, you know, the school you're in, the city you live in, the lifestyle you're used to. But I also knew that they would, and not all of them. Like, it's not for Noah. He's right back in the middle of Brisbane and, you know, pursuing a career. But I'm really glad we got to give them that experience anyway. Like, I knew.
But this is the thing with your kids. They're all like quite well rounded now in terms of those decisions you made. Like JJ in customer service. So, for instance, he spent his teenage years working in the cafe and serving people and doing all these things, and now he's managing a clothing store.
And he's 18.
But it's because of those experiences that he's able to be trusted in that sort of environment, you know, and Alia with, you know, in the veterinary side of things with what she's doing with animals, and you know, Noah is a graphic designer. So he got to do some graphic design where he was, because you needed stuff on the property, and all of the stuff that he was doing there have now sort of turned into a career. It was not a traditional pathway.
No, definitely
and
not.
this is probably the thing that I guess even for our family, it's not always that traditional pathway that's going to build resilience in children or even a career.
Absolutely.
It can be so many different ways of doing it. So it's really interesting.
I think that's maybe one of probably the best things we got out of that experience. And we went into that with that intentionality of, let's give them permission to just kind of tear up the script a little bit. Like, it works for some people. That whole, like, you know, finish grade 12, go to uni, pursue a career in that. It works for some people, but it's also not who we were. And so we wanted to give our kids permission to see us, even in our like late 30s, early 40s, go, if you get to a point in life where it's not working, you have permission to hit pause, stop, reflect, and go, I think I need to go in a totally different direction here. I think, like, all my friends are doing this, but I feel like I need to go in this slightly different direction, and that's actually okay, and you will be okay.
Yeah.
Both of our families really questioned our sanity, really questioned the homeschooling thing, like really put pressure on us. And when we were a couple of years into being farmers, both of our dads actually came to us individually, just unprompted, and said, I wish I had the guts to do what you guys did. Like, not the same thing, but to be able to change.
Yeah.
Instead of just stay on the stuck path because that's what you did.
Yeah.
And follow the script. That's what they were taught to do. Like, no fault of theirs.
Yeah.
But they understood that feeling of being stuck, but they were a bit more, you know, stoic and just got in there and did it anyway. But they both said, good on you guys. Like, that paid off.
Yeah.
Which was actually quite humbling, and like, we didn't know if it would work. We may have made the worst mistake ever.
If you think about it, sorry, I was going to say, if you think about it from a traditional, going way back in time, it was, if we were a farming culture, you would grow up on the farm, you'd work on the farm with your family, you would inherit the farm, and you would carry on. So that sort of was the way it worked. It's kind of like an apprenticeship.
You apprentice with your dad.
Yeah, what you're doing. It's the same thing basically with my kids. You know, like, they didn't do the traditional thing. They just happened to be in a digital agency. But it's the same sort of thing. It's just like this education pathway. There is the traditional way, which is, as you say, go through all of the grades and then get your university entrance, and you go off to university and you do that thing. And it works really well for some people, not everyone.
The irony of our story is that it's Noah who, and like, he was bullied to such the core of his person that it took about 3 years for him to even have the confidence in himself that he could learn. And there was a lot of catching up for him there, because that's what happened. His confidence was destroyed, and therefore his ability to believe in himself to learn was not there. So after rebuilding all of that with him, he's the one that's university educated now. Out of all of them. He's the one that went on to formal education and is killing it in his career. He's actually just gone part-time so that he can start to build his business himself at 22.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. So the one who was like not right for school, you know, it didn't suit him, is the one that has the most formal qualifications of any of our kids.
It's crazy though, because these sort of stories are all over the place. Even my father, when he was at school, he wanted to be an architect so bad, and it was actually the education, you know, like the people in power or the people in authority in terms of his education that said to him, "You won't be an architect." And he ended up being an accountant. But it's funny, like, later on in life, when we were designing homes and stuff, he's building architectural models and all sorts of stuff. And it's kind of like, all of these dreams and aspirations and things that you want to do, sometimes you just got to do it. And there is ways of doing it. It's like, Noah is a graphic designer. He's built a career in it, now building a business. It's amazing.
I think we're really lucky to live in the age we live in right now, because, you couldn't do like your dad, you know, and I remember some of the same conversations like with my dad, you know, and how his dad kind of encouraged him into a certain career path. That's what you did. That was the society that you lived in. If you were to break from that, what would your support be around that? So now to be in a space where it's like, the world is literally your oyster. If you want to learn anything, just jump online. You can learn whatever you want. And that was part of our homeschooling journey with our kids, especially into their later years, to go, what are you interested in? What do you want to study? Don't worry about like there's no one here telling you who you have to be at 20 or at 30 or whatever. that kind of puts a bit of pressure on them to go, oh, I don't know. But then also then to go, it doesn't matter if you don't know, just pursue something. And there's no expectation here. Maybe that's what I'm saying about expectations.
We decided early on, the revelation was we need to teach them how to learn.
Yeah.
And if they know how to learn, they can do anything. And I'm really grateful for that, because I look into the future now and we're having these really big conversations with them about how AI is going to disrupt everything in the workforce. And they're looking at, do I go to university? And let's be honest, like, that's debt for something that they think they should do or they're not quite sure about. We're like, well, let's not go into debt if you're not sure.
Yeah.
You know,
I really should do something.
Let's not, because student debt is still debt.
Yeah.
Let's look ahead and potentially look even further ahead than ahead, and look at how you can build yourself a resilient life.
Yeah.
That allows you to pivot
with
the quick changes that are coming for our kids. Like, all of the script is about to get torn up in a really big way. Yep. And as parents, it's a really tricky thing to help our kids navigate what the next 20 years is going to look like.
It's funny because, you know, the trades used to be seen as like a blue collar job.
Yeah.
To be honest, they're some of the wealthiest people I know now, and AI ain't going to be fixing your toilet. You know, so there's a lot of things like that. It's the same thing with like farming. AI can't take over a farm. It can aid you on the farm.
There's some pretty good robots.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Some pretty good robots.
Yeah,
we live in a really big agricultural centre in Australia, and you drive past some of the ag stores, and the robot ag equipment is like out on it. It just rocks around in this one particular show. What do you call it? Like a
little show paddock.
A show paddock.
Yeah.
And that's their advertising.
Wow.
And you're watching these robot ag equipment just do farming things. And you just think, oh, wow, what's the next 20 years going to look like?
Yeah. So taking that risk to pull it all back as a family, to reevaluate, to figure out what you wanted, and to be a bit more intentional in how you raised your kids and what you were teaching them. Obviously, that's a risk that's paid off greatly for your family. What would your advice be to another family who perhaps is like, you know what, our current setup and situation is not working. We've tried different, ways of shifting it. Sometimes you just don't know if the risk is going to pay off. Well, what do you say to somebody like that?
You can't know. You can't get help, get support. Like, that's probably where it started for us. You know, for us, it started as a mental health journey, and it started with getting help, like getting professional help, getting advice, getting a really good network of people around us who could, and even friends, and even like yourselves going, oh, no, you guys sure? And just getting that, so you're not alone. So you're not doing it on your own, because there's not really an answer to that, and you actually might fail. But I guess regret probably plays a big part for me in a lot of those questions. Like, I got to this point where I was like, I don't want to be 50 and going, I wish I had.
Yeah.
We get a lot of people asking us this question over on our channel, in our podcast, particularly around kids and teenagers. And they, the parents want to make this move, but my kids, and they're going to hate it. They might. Yeah. They might. But if in your gut you know it's what is needed, do it anyway.
Because even if you
work with your kids, like journey through it with your kids,
yeah.
Make them part of the decision-making process. But like Alia railed against it, and she's the one, like, it's been the best thing for her. Yeah. And like, I'll link down below, or you guys can link down below. You can hear it from their mouths. Yeah. Don't just take us as like, there's these people on these podcasts, and it was amazing. Like, from their own mouths, because we said to them, would you change anything? And every single one of them said, absolutely not. Yeah.
Okay.
Which was actually a bit of a surprise, because honestly, I thought there would be some regret, resentment maybe from their side to kind of go, I think we asked them the question, do you feel like you missed out? Even if we had messed it up, like even if we'd gone, okay, we did that was 10 years of our lives, that was a weird little blip, what they got to see was empowered parents who were bold enough to go, we need to figure out, we need to do the journey. And we did it very openly with them.
Yes.
They knew kind of age appropriate, but, they knew the journey that we were going through, and they got to see us making bold decisions and having to go and not being kind of conformed to anything. It just so happened to work out the way we hoped it would. But even if it hadn't, I think that the value wasn't in winning, whatever that means. The value was in them seeing that, you're not locked in.
Yeah.
So you could say the winning wasn't in the succeeding, it was in the growth.
Yeah.
And the growth that your kids benefited from, even if they didn't feel like it in the moment. Because growing's never comfortable, let's be honest.
Nope.
Rarely is growth in the physical or literal or non-literal sense a comfortable thing. But, they say that these days our greatest addiction for our generation isn't, it's not sugar, it's not fentanyl, it's not weed, it's actually comfort. It's comfort. And if you can raise your kids to be okay with being uncomfortable for short and or long periods of time, then you set them up for a more resilient life as adults. And I think you guys have certainly achieved that with your kids.
One of the things I say now, and the revelations we've had on this journey, is it will be okay because we will make it so. You're never locked into something. If something's awful, you change it. You figure a way out of it.
Yeah,
you go, how are we going to solve this problem? You grow your way out of your discomfort. So just because something's bad right now doesn't mean it's going to be bad forever. It's going to be okay because we will make it so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any more questions from you before we keep going?
I know that there's a lot of interest at the moment with homesteading and the homesteading community. It's certainly big with a lot of our viewers over in the States, and it's a growing community here in Australia. What do you say to the families? Because I know you get asked often on your podcast and in the comment section and stuff like, I'm seriously considering this. What's your top pieces of advice if we want to go from this city life out to a farm or out to a homestead or to become more self-sufficient?
Yeah, we get that question a lot. And to be honest, that's a big part of where our, YouTube channel has kind of headed in that direction, is really giving people permission to just ask those questions and explore that idea. And probably we would say just start. That doesn't even necessarily mean buy acreage or learn how to make sourdough. It just means like whatever the thing is that you can do right now, figure out what's at the core of that, like what's motivating that. Are you worried about the state of the world, or are you, concerned about nutrition, or is it, how your family operates, you want to change that structure? Whatever that core motivation is, start with that. And if it turns into 150 acres and cows and goats and all of that sort of stuff, that's awesome, but that can't be, that won't answer anything for you. But you do get to start with where you were. We say that we went through 3 stages of homesteading. The one we're on right now looks like a homestead, because it's rural and because it's got acreage. But the 2 before that were suburban blocks. The first one, like the gardening we do, we weren't allowed to garden in that place. Like there were like covenants on the gardens. And so we did like guerrilla gardening, like hiding our tomatoes behind the agave bushes. You just start where you are to kind of explore what's motivating you to, to some of those decisions.
Okay. What would you say then though? Here's the question which has to do with the relationship though. So as parents, all of a sudden you are in this new environment and you're now doing, relationship, like generally speaking, you guys are together every day, all day doing this. What advice do you have to couples who are considering this in terms of their relationship as...
Oh, I remember doing this as a pod.
Our relationship or our relationship with our kids?
Both.
Yeah.
Because you're the parents, you're the ones who are in charge, you're the ones who are there. So what did it mean for you in terms of what you had to work on for you guys? Because essentially this is, you've got to be together, you've got to be unified, and now you've gone and changed life up from city slicking to country bumpkins.
Country bumpkin, such a country bumpkin.
Well, out in the country, let's say that.
I left my overalls at home today. Doing something like this removes all of the buffers. And you don't realize that there's buffers until you have none. So you don't realise that if you have a fight in the morning and you go off to work, by the end of the day, you don't remember really what you were fighting about unless it was like mega. And so there's all these little ways that buffers just help you not have to deal with what's really going on, right? This move has been the hardest on our relationship.
Yeah, this most recent move, like
The
this is
easiest on our relationship with our kids, but the hardest for us.
Yeah.
So this is from a farm that you were managing,
Yes.
now say out to your own plot of
Out to our
land.
own
So
property.
you are
Yep.
starting from scratch and
Yep.
learning to be, well, not learning, well, I guess you are, but to be self-sufficient.
Yeah. Because it's just us now. Like, yeah, 2 of our kids are with us, but it really is like there's no more homeschool requirements. There's no, it's not really about the kids anymore.
Yeah.
It's just us, and we're in this place now where we're finally getting to outwork our passion project, the thing that we thought was always on the horizon, we're getting to do, and it's like, oh, hello there. Here we are. We've always worked together, like even before this, but it's like, oh, yeah, the buffers is a good way to
And
describe
in
that.
a really uncomfortable environment, like to go to a block of land with no infrastructure and start from scratch. Like talk about removing even all of your creature comforts. There's days that I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's really hard.
Yeah.
So it has really forced us to dig deep.
Yep.
And it's forced us to confront some hard truths about ourselves
Yeah.
and about our relationship.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of, like the whole onion analogy, and you just keep peeling back the layers. This has just forced a whole other layer to be removed. So if you want to do something as extreme as this, I would definitely say stress test your relationship. Go and volunteer somewhere together and do some hard labor, or maybe even look to proactively seek some counselling or coaching.
For sure.
Just turn the power off in your house for a week and see what happens.
Simulate the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And
the chili bin, or what do they call it in America?
Cooler.
Okay.
the cooler.
Yeah. Cooler. Yeah.
For a week.
Live out of a cooler for a week.
Yeah.
Solar shower.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go
See how you
camp. Go
Just go
camping off.
camping.
Go camping.
Off-grid
Go
for a
off grid
week.
for a while. Yeah.
I definitely think if this is something that you want to make extreme moves like this, we say to people often, go and get coached in this, or just go and check in on your relationship and have some really hard conversations first. Because if you don't do it then, it's going to be happening, when the generator's broken and there's no power and your water tastes a little bit dirty and you're like, what is happening here?
But I think not even just with the homestead part of it and the remoteness and the rusticness, it's that big life move.
For sure.
And the effect that it has when you bring your kids with you.
Yep.
And then the effect that it has on your marriage. Because we've spoken to people who've moved, left the city to move to Hawaii.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Or we're going to go and live in Bali.
Yeah.
And the creature comforts might be a bit more, and it's a beautiful island lifestyle, but it's the big move and the risk that you assume.
Yep.
And sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's a mixture of both. And how to get the help before you go and during, so that your family survives the shock of it all and the bigness of it all and the change of it all and the pulling back of the layers and things like that. So it's not just that it's like you're living off a solar shower.
No, that doesn't have to
For a
be
while.
the extreme.
No.
Because the danger is to think for whatever the motivation is for your big move or your big, life change or whatever, it's not going to save the problems that you think that are there. It's going to amplify them.
Yes.
And that stress is, it could actually be the thing that kills your relationship.
Yeah.
It actually could be the death rather than the life and the saving grace that you were hoping for. So definitely don't just,
You take your problems with you.
that's wherever you go, there you are.
And then I would just add to that, you asked about our relationship and our relationship with our kids as well. I think reflecting back on it now, which we get to do from this stage because we've done all that with them, it was that vulnerability with them that enabled it to be hard and okay. Knowing that they would be okay, but also like just letting them in on when it was hard for us, like letting them, not airing all our dirty laundry to our kids who aren't, designed to cope with all that, but just letting them in on the reality of it all and seeing it all firsthand. Like that probably deepened our relationship with our kids more than anything. Like to sit down and record a podcast with them the other night and just get these surprising answers like, where did you come from? And then we were sort of reflecting on that afterwards going, oh, okay, we did all right. Little high five moment, But you don't know. As parents, you don't know if that's what you're going to get to do when they hit their 20s.
Yeah.
I don't know that we had it all worked out or had some kind of miracle answer for it, but I would say like reflecting on it, that benefit of hindsight was, vulnerability was a big key to that. Yeah.
And that's not us being arrogant either, because we weren't perfect. But I just think that we figured that out early on. Like, we're not meant to be perfect here. And we never expected that of our children. And so therefore, we're like, okay, so that one's to the side. We're not dealing with that problem anymore. It just made way for so many beautiful vulnerabilities, hardships, wins, losses,
Yeah. I think the thing I admired most about watching your journey over the last 10 years is when it wasn't perfect and it was hard. You didn't put on a persona, even to us as the outside world. I mean, I know we're close as friends, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, no, we're loving this. Because you know how some people make a change and then in an effort to prove that they did the right thing, they're like everything's fine. And I think of that meme with like the cartoon dog and everything's burning down behind him and he's like, it's fine. And not in a way that you ever played a victim or anything with some of the stuff that you went through, but you never forced your kids into it being fine either in the moments that weren't. You allowed moments of going, actually, this sucks, when it did suck. And it didn't last, I'm not saying that it was all terrible at all, but there were times, as any family goes through, where it was hard, and you guys have never been a family that's gone, oh no, everything's fine. Isn't it fine, kids? We're fine. And I think that has played a significant part in how well-rounded and beautiful of a humans your kids are. They're very authentic in who they are.
And have very strong senses of their own identity.
Yes.
Which was the goal for us. We have to empower these children to exist in this world that we know the realities of, and they just have no idea yet. We're like, we've got to get them ready to be able to be strong and resilient and true to themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that they're all on their own paths and they'll make mistakes, and that's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming and chatting to us today, and we love you guys, and please follow their YouTube channel and their podcast because it really is so much fun to watch. Certainly this end of the journey, having travelled the journey with you guys now for nearly 15 years.
You'll learn a lot about solar power, how to build chicken coops, outdoor baths, all sorts of things.
Thanks for letting us be on this side of the mics.
It's a very fancy setup compared to our little rustic shed.
Yeah, but we love it.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks
guys.
so
much.
We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today on the Raising Humans Project. We'd love it if you'd leave a comment below. Tell us what you want to hear about and who you want to hear from.
Yeah. Who are the top parenting voices in the world today? Let us know.
Yeah, because we're running out of people to talk to.
We're not running out of people to talk to. Look, if you can please like, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to be notified of future episodes, and we will see you next week. Well, I'll see you at home because we parent together.
Please tell your mates because we want people to hear this.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.